Okay, well, that was the one and only Thelonious Monk,
Yeah,
um, an appropriate musician, I think, to be the very first, uh, uh,
50s jazz pianist. Yeah,
yeah, and the inaugural musician for our show.
absolutely. One of my favorites.
My first reaction to Thelonious Monk is that you have these kind of the signposts of this kind of bebop language, so to speak, but it's being filtered through his genius, very creative mind. So it it uh, it has a little bit of a slightly vertigo aspect, a dizziness to it with the repetition of those.
Yeah, as if you're spinning around and around like you used to do, right?
Right, like yeah, I've seen that footage. Yeah, tell me where Thelonious Monk. I mean, where is he coming from? Where is he getting his inspiration?
Well, he's first and foremost a Harlem Stride piano player. He's from Sugar Hill, and James P. Johnson used to have the famous piano salons where Willie the Lion Smith, Earl Hines, and Fats Waller would attend. Regular affair, probably some cigar chomping, competitive, yet supportive, masterful piano playing, Harlem Stride piano playing, the full left hand, the full right hand, complex cross rhythms, all fun and so masterful. These guys are really incredible pianists, and they had this famous salon where they would uh, probably push each other off the piano. No, you're not doing it right, and this is how it really goes, and but competitive fun. And Thelonious Monk, when he was in his late teens, would occasionally go there, and that's why his stride playing is so fantastic. Is because it's got total connectivity to the core of jazz piano, which is that stride stuff. And then occasionally he would bring his little sidekick, who was none other than Bud Powell, to this salon. And Bud Powell did not know anything about the harmony yet, but he was an incredible kind of child prodigy in that he could just play Bach really fast.
Wow.
And Monk taught Bud Powell the chords and how to play the full handed style. But then Bud Powell, of course, becomes the pioneer of the right hand bebop style post Charlie Parker. But Bud Powell can still do that whole parlor piano playing, no problem. And Monk, so he has that connection with the Stride Harlem guys. And then he is the high priest of bebop. Everybody thinks it's Bird. It's actually Monk. And Monk codifies the harmony. And Monk taught everybody else the harmony. Monk taught Dizzy Gillespie the harmony. The three main names of the entire modern jazz movement are Thelonious Monk, Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker. Charlie Parker comes from Kansas City, already intact, already doing what these guys are doing, but it's his linear conception that sets him to be the most powerful influence on bebop with those long lines and the way the rhythm is accentuated. Monk's also presiding over the jam session at Minton's Playhouse, and that's the incubator of the music. And some of the pioneers of the harmonic language expansiveness, where this is going to go, is Art Tatum and it's Coleman Hawkins. The Coleman Hawkins is up a half step. Badubops this is a development that Monk's going to take and turn it into Well You Need, and then all these kind of songs. They come out of this Coleman Hawkins, who was also living on Sugar Hill. And that's Sonny Rollins' hero. And then the other influence is the way Lester Young plays ballads. And so the harmony and the half steps and the 13 chords and the more impressionistic chords that Lester's playing on ballads, Bird's going to take that and make it like glass fast. And that's the Kansas City, Lester Young, Charlie Parker connection for bebop. But the high priest of it is Monk.
Okay. Wow. Well, I think there again, great opening cut that connects so many dots, and you were talking about Bud Powell, and I see
Right.
he is who's we're going to be listening to next. Tell us a little bit about this tune that you selected.
Well, Bud Powell is legendary and is the main influence. See, Monk and Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington is Monk's favorite pianist. Probably because Duke is the most complex accompanist, the way he writes concertos. And Monk is the most sensitive person for creating a brood, a progeny, a bunch of people that come after him. He shared so much. And his main sidekick was young Bud Powell. And Bud Powell's really the person who's going to influence everybody from here on out, because Monk is inimitable, like Art Tatum's inimitable, like Duke Ellington in some ways. Pianists, like people who are real, quote unquote, real jazz pianists, they don't even think of Monk and Duke Ellington as being pianists, because Monk is self-taught. He has perfect pitch and is the deepest guy you're ever going to meet, but a little crazy. And Bud Powell was a little crazy too. And but it was Bud Powell's acclimatizing to the new language, where he's not playing much with the left hand anymore. That's just you're just kind of token tossing the changes out. You got the bass player doing that. You don't have to be doing the full hand. Like the Harlem Stride guys, they played alone a lot. And that's how they made a living. They played parties where they were the whole orchestra. So you could get a whole orchestra with Art Tatum and James P. Johnson and Willie the Lion Smith. You get a whole orchestra with those guys. So they have to play all 88 keys all the time. You're right. And now we have a band playing, and it's fast. You're not going to stride at the quarter note equals 350. And it's not going down. They can stride pretty fast, but they're not doing that. And so the music changed from changed from 2-beat. When you think of stride, that's still 2-beat. Boom, 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 boom. And when you think of earlier jazz, you think of tuba and string bass playing boom, 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 boom.
Right.
That's a 2-beat. It was Kansas City, Count Basie's band with Walter Page on bass, that started saying, "Hey, let's do 4. Let's do 4. Yeah, that's hip." That was like a new thing, and that took over. And that took over the language of the music. And then Bird takes that Kansas City 4 on the 4-beat thing and just cranks it way up. So Bud Powell becomes the first guy to really play what the saxophone, which Bird's playing in the right hand. And he frees himself from the left hand accompaniment, because the band's playing that 4-beat right there. And he got heavily criticized for that by none other than Louis Armstrong, who had a funny observation. Louis Armstrong said, "We should just pay him half the night's pay, because he's only playing half the piano." Right?
That's funny.
And so I picked this tune because Bud Powell is very famous for the fast and flighty right hand. You think of Chick Corea, Keith Jarrett, Bill Evans, everybody. That's what you got to be able to do is crank out the bop vocabulary in the right hand. And so Tempest Fugit time flies, and a perfect example of Bud Powell.
Okay, let's give this one a listen.